It's Friday again, and I welcome you to a fresh edition of our legislative program, The Maze. I am Rosemary Ukokotega. The Maze is the summary of all activities of the National Assembly within the week, airing this time, that is 8 p.m. It's always a pleasure to have you. Welcome again on today's edition. Today on the program, we bring you some matters as considered in previous weeks by lawmakers. And top of these are Senate's resolution to mandate Federal Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy to enforce review of recent increase in data costs in Nigeria, and House move to investigate abuse of fiscal policies and evasion of taxes in the country. Details of this and other proceedings on today's program.
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we will realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be willed by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity. Our strength is not in our numbers, but in our unity, because even the weak become strong when united. Nigeria unite.
This message is brought to you by Abuja Broadcasting Corporation, owners and operators of ASO Radio 93.5 FM Abuja, ASO Television DSTV Channel 392, Star Times Terrestrial Channel 127, Free TV Channel 507, People's TV Channel 285, and UHF Channel 38.
This is The Maze on ASO Television. Watch us live on DSTV 392, Star Times TV 127, Free TV 507, UHF Band 38. Find also all editions of The Maze on ASO Radio and Television YouTube channel. We take off today from the Red Chamber, and one issue that arose the interest of many senators before proceeding on a short recess for the Easter and Salah holidays was the hike in costs of data by telecommunication companies. As a way of addressing this, the Senate debated and adopted resolutions of a motion of urgent public importance on the subject as moved by a Cross River State lawmaker, Senator Asuko Ekpenyang. Now to how the motion was received and adopted.
Motion before us is the urgent need to address the increased cost of data services in Nigeria. The Senate notes that telecommunication providers in Nigeria have recently increased the cost of data services by as much as 200%, a move that has placed significant financial strain on millions of Nigerians, especially young people who rely on the internet for their livelihood. The Senate further notes that young Nigerians have embraced the digital economy, leveraging the internet for various income-generating activities, including freelancing and remote work, direct marketing and social media management, e-commerce, online trading, software development, web design, mobile app creation, content creation on various platforms, online education, etc. The Senate is concerned that fiber optic internet services remain unaffordable for the average young Nigerians, leaving them heavily dependent on mobile telecommunications companies for internet access, and that the sudden and substantial increase in data costs threatens their economic survival and limits access to critical digital services. The Senate is further concerned that the reasons provided by telecom providers for the data price hike include high operational costs, unfavorable exchange rates, are untenable, and appears that instead of addressing the root causes of the high cost of doing business in Nigeria, the burden is being unfairly transferred to end users. The Senate is aware that the high cost of doing business in Nigeria is driven by multiple challenges, such as increased operational risk and insurance costs. The Senate believes that urgent government intervention is required to ensure that affordable internet access remains available to all Nigerians, particularly the young Nigerians who are the backbone of Nigeria's digital economy. Distinguished colleagues, we are at the fourth industrial revolution, the Internet of Things. A fast, reliable, and affordable internet is a precursor for Nigeria's effective participation in this industrial revolution. The Senate accordingly resolves to urge the federal government to engage with telecommunications providers to review the recent increase in data costs and ensure the pricing remains fair and affordable for all Nigerians. Call on the Federal Ministry of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy to develop a policy framework for affordable internet access in Nigeria. C, encourage the federal government to establish and support technology and innovation hubs across the country, providing free and or subsidized internet access to young entrepreneurs, students, and innovators. D, mandate the Senate Committee on Communications to conduct an investigation into the factors driving the high cost of data and provide solutions for a sustainable and business-friendly telecommunications sector. E, call for immediate government action to address the challenges of doing business in Nigeria, particularly in the ICT and telecommunications sector, to prevent further cost increase that negatively impact the economic growth of our dear country. I so move. Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues.
I rise to support the motion moved by my distinguished colleague and partner, Senator Asuki. I so support. Thank you.
Go to this very important motion from Senator Asuko Ekpenyong on the increase on the cost of data charged by communication companies operating in Nigeria. Mr. President, it's not just data. Everything, tariffs have all gone up. In the communication sector, if you buy airtime, buy data, within minutes, you'll be out of data. And we've continued to live under this condition where the citizens have no other way of seeking redress. Even DSTV, they've changed their costs or prices, tariff 3 times in a short while. The same thing with electricity. You buy time for energy, within minutes, you are out of points. So, and people use these things together, simultaneously. When you are suffering on the cost of telecommunication services, you are suffering on the high cost of electricity, you are suffering on the high cost of digital television services. The costs are quite high on Nigerians. And I believe that even the Protection Consumer Commission is not helping out in this matter. So we are, everybody, not only young people who make use of internet that are suffering. Everybody, because there's nobody who doesn't use internet. Even here in the chamber, we all use internet services. So something has to be done to regulate this absurd increase in tariffs. The citizens are suffering so much in this regard, and we cannot turn blind eye to this. Even though some of them are monopolies in their services, Nigeria cannot afford this high increase in tariffs. So thank you, Mr. President. This motion is very timely, and I believe that something must be done to check the incessant increase in the cost of these services in Nigeria, so that the people will be able to breathe. We're all bearing the costs together. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Sadiq.
Mr. President, I rise to join the debate in supporting this motion on the urgent need to address the increased cost of data services in Nigeria. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, much as the high cost of data affects everyone in this country, including my humble self, but I'm particularly interested in this because of the manner it affects the young men who are in larger population in this country, who are the most productive sector. They rely on data to acquire resources that we are not able to provide for them. We can't give them jobs. And they use their creativity to ensure that they get productive via various activities that the mover of the motion have listed. Mr. President, I think that it's very important we ensure that these service providers make life easy for these young men to reduce the social crisis that we are struggling to control. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we go to prayers. Prayer 1, urge the federal government to engage with telecommunications providers to review the recent increase in data costs and ensure that pricing remains fair and affordable to all Nigerians. Those in support of amendment?
Yes.
Yes, Senator Isunaso.
Prayer 1, the Federal Ministry of Communication, Innovation and Digital Economy that should engage telecommunication providers in this regard, not the federal government. It's too wide.
Yes. Any seconder?
I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, prayer 1 has been amended to read that urge the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Technology to engage with telecommunications providers to review the recent increase in data costs and ensure that pricing remains fair and affordable to all Nigerians. Those in favor of prayer 1 as amended say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2, call on the Federal Ministry of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy to develop a policy framework for affordable internet services in Nigeria. Those in favor of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3, encourage the federal government to establish and support tech hubs across the country, providing free or subsidized internet access to young entrepreneurs, students, and innovators. Those in support of prayer 3 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. And prayer 4, mandate the Committee on Communications to conduct an investigation into the factors driving the high cost of data and try to provide solutions for a sustainable and business-friendly telecommunications sector. Those in support of prayer 4 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 5, call for immediate government action to address the challenges of doing business in Nigeria, particularly in the ICT and telecommunications sector, to prevent further cost increases that may negatively impact on the economic growth of the nation. Those in support of prayer 5 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Let me thank distinguished Senator Asuku Ekpeyon for raising this particular motion to address the plight of internet users, data users across Nigeria. It will not only affect the young people, it will also affect the elderly, and that it will also help to ensure that people are not thrown out of business, because those who are not employed now are self-employed, and they utilize data on a daily basis. So this motion, when implemented, will assist particularly our young entrepreneurs, not only to remain in business, but to ensure that they they have affordable pricing that will also generate revenue and profits for them. So I thank you for bringing this motion. I thank my colleagues for their contributions and for the amendments done to the prayers. I thank you. So congratulations for this. Leader of the Senate.
Similar motion was on the floor of the House also the same period. Another motion that generated concerns of senators was that praying to immortalize late INEC chairman Professor Humphrey Nwosu. The motion jointly brought by the Southeast Senate caucus, however, suffered rejection on the floor on 2 different plenary days.
Note that the late Professor Humphrey Nwosu was a former National Electoral Commission NEC chairman from 1999 to 1993. Further notes that Professor Humphrey Nwosu supervised the 1993 presidential elections. Aware that the courageous defense of democratic electoral process during the 1993 presidential election led to the famous June 12 slogan, which ultimately confirmed Alhaji MKO Abiola as the winner.
It's okay. He wanted to bring forward, and well, but he said he has point of order. Let me. Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Is pursuant to Order 41, Sub 3 of our rules. And with your permission, sir, I will read. 41.3. A senator moving a motion under combined orders 41 and 51 shall ensure that copies of the motion are available for all senators when approval to move the motion is granted. This
President, they are all available. They are all there with them. We brought it. We don't have a motion.
well,
Okay. Rules. Since the copies are not available, I think we should step until they are given. I don't want to go. Let's. Let's. Let's step it down until everybody gets it. We'll come back to it. Your point of order is upheld.
no.
The leader of Senate. Yes, sir. Leader. Continue. The leader of the Senate. Continue. Until
The copies are ready, so I can continue. I don't see, what is the reason?
Senator Abaribe, please, can you approach the chair, please?
I don't know, my brother. I don't know.
Don't go there now. No, wait, must you be there, man?
It's a live there. Live.
We are mad. I don't care. Like, we make you there now. Why are you the film now?
Hey, I don't see you.
He didn't want us to miss. Why is he thinking against him?
I don't understand.
But we're in a democracy. We allow our colleagues to table their views, and it's left for the Senate to decide on what to be done on such views. Others see him as someone. Anyway, you move your motion. Okay, my colleagues, can you please listen? Can you please listen? Now it's up to you. I'll put the question, and I'll walk in line with whatever you decide. Of course, it's a bit controversial. Some see him as someone who truncated June 12. Some see him as a hero of June 12. So it's up to you. We'll put the question. Those in favor that this motion should go through, please say aye. Those against, say nay. The nays have it. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President,
in all cases not provided for in the standing order or by the sessional or other orders of practice of the Senate shall by resolution regulate its procedure. So even if the Senate leader says that it doesn't follow, by the fact that a senator wants to make a personal explanation, you must give that senator a chance to make that personal explanation. We are not under a dictatorship, Mr. President. That is why I'm using 1B to come.
Well,
it's at your discretion, Mr. President. Yes. Because if at your discretion you say we can't talk, we don't talk.
Former minority leader,
thank you, Mr.
very
President.
experienced.
I'm glad that you recognize that I was a former minority leader.
Thank you very much.
I know the rules.
Yes, former majority leader, former minority leader. We are all experienced legislators here, those who are grounded in our rules. And I refer you to Order 42 once again. Order 42. By the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President of the Senate, a senator may make a personal explanation, although there be no question before the Senate, but no controversial matter may be brought forward, nor may debate arise from the explanation. The terms of the proposed statement shall be submitted in detail to the President of the Senate when his leave to make it is sought. When we came this morning, let me be frank, I'm a frank person. When we came this morning, you approached me in respect of your desire to bring forward this motion under Order 4151. You never told me you were bringing it under Order 42. And when it came under 4151, it was defeated. Now you change your mind to bring it under Order 42. We are all, we know, we respect you very well. That wasn't discussed. If it was discussed, when the leader came in, I called him. I said, Senator Abarebe is bringing a motion under 4151, and we agreed. Normally have to consult with the leadership, and we agreed that it was going to be brought forward. But leader, did I tell you that he's going to bring a motion under Order 42? So you didn't approach me, you didn't tell me. And I just want to be transparent and plain. You didn't tell me. If you had told me, there's no way I would have stopped it. There's a process. If you have told us that you are going to bring this motion under 42, we will oblige you.
Mr. President, I don't know what is controversial for immortalizing Humphrey Nwosu and June 12. What is controversial there? That is our problem.
Okay,
what is controversial?
Leader.
It's not controversial.
No, the issue is that the time. Mr. President, just one more time, I will refer to our rules. out of my utmost respect for His Excellency, distinguished Senator Abaribe, and also because the former majority leader had also spoken to this issue. Dear colleagues, the reference to Section 1B cannot cure the lacuna here. Section 1, look at Order 1, 1A and 1B. 1A says the proceedings in the Senate and in all committees of the Senate shall be conducted in accordance with the following standing orders. We have our order paper for the day. And Order 1B that Senator Abaribe also most respectfully referred to says in all cases not provided for in this standing order. In all cases not provided for in these standing orders. We have our order paper. And what is provided in our own order is even the fact that in our own rule book, is even the fact that if the Senate are taking a position on a matter, if you still want to insist on bringing it back, you have to come by way of substantive motion, or the next legislative day or at whatever time, by way of substantive motion, motion for rescission of decision. That's my position, sir.
Your point of order, Senate Leader, is upheld. You may wish to propose your motion against tomorrow. Bring it to the Rules and Business, and then we'll look at it again. Your point of order is upheld. Leader of the Senate.
The fourth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator David Jim Kuta on the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria Act Amendment Bill 2025, SB 756. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate. Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria Act Amendment Bill 2025, SB 756, first reading, taken. The Senate Leader. This man.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the fifth business of the day.
The caucus briefed newsmen afterwards, further providing reasons for the push for immortalization of the late INEC chairman.
Don't forget that it was the outcome of the annulment of that election that led to the disturbances everywhere in Nigeria, that also led to the exit of the military in 1999, 6 years later.
Now, Professor Nwosu was chairman, National Electoral Commission, NECO, during the military junta led by the military president, General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, who annulled the June 12 election, presumed to be the freest election in the country. Lastly, from the Red Chamber, the Senate within the same period provided clarification on a proposed social media bill under consideration. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, in a remark, insisted the piece of legislation is not aimed at suppressing freedom of expression, rather seeking to address issues as taxation and record-keeping for digital platforms operating in Nigeria. This was during the second reading of the bill being sponsored by Senator Ned Nwoko.
It's not just the most populous country in Africa. We are also one of the most active when it comes to digital engagement. With over 220 million people, social media has become an essential part of our daily lives. According to the Global Works Index, as part of our Business Insider Africa, Nigerians rank first in Africa and second globally in terms of daily social media usage, spending an average of 3 hours and 46 minutes online. Platforms such as Facebook, X,
Instagram, WhatsApp, YouTube, TikTok, Snapchat, etc., have become indispensable to millions of our people. These platforms are not just tools of communication, they are ecosystems that influence our politics, shape our public opinion, drive entrepreneurship, and provide avenues for education and entertainment.
It definitely would have been different and much more streamlined. But at least the general idea is there, and his job was just to provide the general principles, not necessarily to go into details. So when they go into details at a public hearing, it will be clear. I don't want the world to misunderstand us as if the Senate is trying to gag the social media. No, that is not the intention here. The intention is for tax purposes and also to have a register of, in fact, it's good for them because now with the new tax innovation, if you are not making as a company up to 50 million in a year, you are exempted from taxation. And if you are an individual trader and you don't make up to 1 million, you don't have to pay tax. Or you make 1 million or under, you don't have to pay tax. So for the purpose of tax and for the purpose of clarity of what you are doing and for record purpose, I think this is a good bill. However, I was looking to see whether there is any way it will tend to gag the freedom of expression or tend to stop the business of, in quote, bloggers. There is no such thing. So when eventually it goes to the public hearing, I'm sure we'll be able to cross the T's and dot the I's before it comes back to the Senate.
Now to the Green Chamber. On electoral matter, the House adopted resolutions of 2 motions on similar topics. Need to restore the 12 suppressed state constituencies in Kogi State by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, standing in the name of Honorable Salman Idris and 8 others, and the restoration of suppressed Sapele 2 State Assembly constituency of Delta State, standing in the name of Honorable Benedict Etanabene. We now take the 2 motions back to back.
The House notes that Section 112 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, vested in the Independent National Electoral Commission the power to divide every state in the Federation into such a number of state constituencies within the state. The House also notes that Section 91 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, provides that a House of Assembly of a state shall consist of 3 or 4 times the number of seats that states have in the House of Representatives, divided in a way to reflect, as far as possible, nearly equal population. The House further notes that Section 114, subsection 1, provides for periodic review of state constituencies not less than 10 years and may alter such constituencies to such an extent as it may be desirable in the light of the review. The House is aware that the gubernatorial and state assembly elections that were held on 14 December 1991 in Kogi State had 32 state constituencies in which elections were duly conducted and winners declared. The House is also aware that Kogi State, which has 9 seats in the House of Representatives, is supposed to have at least 27 or 36 House of Assembly seats as provided for in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended. Cognizant that the last review of state constituencies in Nigeria by INEC was in 1998, which resulted in the suppression of some constituencies in the Kogi State House of Assembly seats. The House is concerned that from 1998 to date, the Independent National Electoral Commission has continued to suppress the Kogi State House of Assembly seats in constituencies such as Kababonu 2, Ijumu 2, Kotonkarfi 1, Yagba West 2, Adavi 2, Ife Ogbodu, Igala Ogba, Okura, Enjema, Dekina Town, Olamaboro 2, and Basange Bira. The House is worried that the essence of participatory
Honorable Jimmy,
democracy
please approach the chair.
is to ensure inclusive governance aimed at bringing a balanced development through quality representation. Kogi State has remained underrepresented as a result of this unconstitutional gross suppression of the number of seats in the Kogi State House of Assembly. The House is also worried that the Independent National Electoral Commission has continued to act in ultra vires due to the exclusion of the above-mentioned constituencies. The House is convinced that the restoration of the suppressed constituencies in the Kogi State will further deepen our democracy in terms of quality representation and grassroots development and promote equality. The House resolves to urge the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to restore Kababunu 2, Ijumu 2, Kotokarfe 1, Yagba West 1, Adavi 2, Ife Ogbolu, Igala Ogba, Okura, Enjema, Dekina Town, Olamaboro 2, and Basange Gwira State constituencies, and to mandate the Committee on Electoral Matters to interface with the Chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission on the matter and report within 4 weeks for further legislative action. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Thank you very much. Motion has been moved and this has been seconded. I just put the question. Those in support of this motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. This motion is referred to Committee on Electoral Matters.
The House notes that in 1991, the defunct National Electoral Commission of Nigeria, NECON, delineated Delta State into 38 State Assembly constituency in line with sections 85, 104, 105, 106, and 107 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1979, please, which was imperial material with sections 91, 112, 113, 114, and 115 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. Also notes that during the 1991 general elections, elections were conducted in those 38 State Assembly constituencies, including Sapele 2 State Assembly constituency, which was then represented in the Delta State House of Assembly by Honorable Ayama Agbache. Though their tenure was short-lived, those State Assembly constituency delineation arrangement operated until 1998. Further notes that upon the establishment of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in 1998, which replaces National Electoral Commission of Nigeria, NECON, the Independent National Electoral Commission suppressed some State Assembly constituency. Sapele 2 State Assembly constituency was one of them. Further aware that in preparation of the 2019 general election, the same plaintiffs filed a mandamus proceedings in suit FHC/WRO/CS/114/2018. These same plaintiffs approached the court and Justice Nwete, allowing the application, stated as follows: I hereby make an order of mandamus compelling the defendant respondents jointly and severally to perform their legal duty to conduct election in the restored Sapele 2 State Assembly constituency for the purpose of electing a representative of the people of the constituency into the Delta State House of Assembly in the next election in the country from the date of this judgment. Mr. Speaker, cognizance of the fact that the combined effect of all these sections, INEC to date has not in the 2019 election, nor in the 2023 election. Mr. Speaker, concerned that the continued refusal by the Independent National Electoral Commission to obey the court judgment that restored Sapele 2 State Assembly constituency undermines the rule of law, and a continued denial of the people of Sapele 2. Mr. Speaker, can you protect me against all those who are not presiding over this?
My brother, you are protected.
Thank you.
You are protected. Don't mind them. But
So
do and go to the prayer. You are protected.
So the House resolves urge the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to, as a matter of urgency, restore Sapele 2 State Assembly constituency of Delta State to comply with the judgment of the Federal High Court and the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. Mandate the Committee on Electoral Matters to ensure compliance. Mr. Speaker, thank you for your kind gesture and protection. I so move.
Say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. This motion is referred to Committee on Electoral Matters and Legislative Compliance.
The House also threw a motion by an FCT lawmaker, Honorable Joshua Obika, called on the Office of the National Security Advisor, NSA, to provide security agencies in the Federal Capital Territory with the necessary equipment to enhance their ability to effectively perform their duties. The motion.
The House notes that there have been increasing security challenges in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, which is capital of Nigeria, hosting the heads of executive, legislature, judiciary, and the diplomats, as well as their aides and family members. Aware that Section 14(2)(b) of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 99, as amended, declare the provision of security and welfare of the people as the primary purpose of government. Also aware that Section 299A of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 99, as amended, vested legislative powers of the FCT in the National Assembly, which calls for passionate appeal for intervention by the House to support the provision of adequate security services within the FCT and makes intervention by the House to support the provision of the adequate security services in FCT. Disturbed that the 2024 scorecard of the FCT Police Command showed 1,077 suspected criminals were arrested within the FCT out of 1,426 cases reported, with 140 lives of police officers lost in the duty. Worried that recently the FCT Police Command has identified about 17 criminal black spots in the FCT, which includes Diplomatic Zone, the PDP Secretariat, Gwarimpa, Angwatifi, Mpape, Mabushi, and Maitama. Also worried that the lack of adequate security patrol vehicles and gadgets in the criminal black spots within the FCT has led to an increased armed robbery, targeted attacks, assassinations, kidnapping, and terrorism. Resolved to urge the Office of the National Security Advisor to support the security agencies in the Federal Capital Territory with patrol vehicles and security gadgets to enhance the provision of adequate security services within the Federal Capital Territory. Also mandates the Committee on the National Security Intelligence to ensure compliance. I so submit, Mr. Speaker.
The ayes have it. This motion is referred to Committee on National Security and Intelligence.
Another motion moved by a lawmaker from Nasarawa State, Mr. Jonathan Grefi, sought the development of alternative strategies to resettle and integrate original inhabitants and other residents of the FCT. Here.
The House notes the initial misconception regarding the Federal Capital City as a no man's land, and Decree 3 of 1976, which created the Federal Capital City, territory, and provided for the resettlement of persons within the territory. However, due to the high cost of implementation, the administration opted for part resettlement and integration. The House is aware that most of the land, especially the portion known as the Federal Capital City, has been provided with basic infrastructure. The House is also aware that in some parts, on some areas like parts of Gerki, Jabi, Daki, Biumabushi, and Guzape, have areas of planned and unplanned settlements coexisting. The House is worried that the indigenous people are gradually being choked by urbanization, which is also destroying the cultural and historical heritage of the natives, while the same areas are currently turning into slums and safe havens for criminal activities. The House is also worried that the Department of Resettlement formulated 5 resettlement policies and initiatives at different times, but all have yielded little or no results. Cognizant that if this trend is left unchecked, it can lead to serious problems in the future. The House therefore resolves to, number 1, urge the Federal Capital Administration to formulate policies to guide the resettlement practices within the FCT. Number 2, mandate the Committee on FCT Area Councils and Auxiliary Matters to liaise with the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory and other alternative and profile alternative ways of resettling or integrating indigenous and other persons residing within the Federal Capital Territory, and also mandate the Committees on FCT Area Council and Auxiliary Matters and legislative compliance to ensure compliance and report within 4 weeks for further legislative action. Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, I so move.
Lastly, the House considered and adopted resolutions of a motion of urgent public importance on the abuse of fiscal policies and invasion of taxes, leading to loss of trillions of naira by the country and how to recover such funds. A member from Osun State, Honorable Oluwole Oke, moved the motion. Here.
Federal government to exercise executive and legislative jurisdiction over items in the exclusive legislative list as detailed in the second schedule to the Constitution. Items like taxation of incomes, profits, capital gains, export, imports, and exclusively within the control of the federal government. Further notes that in line with the above, the federal government of Nigeria exercised monetary and fiscal controls over the economy to stabilize both micro and macro economic conditions and fundamentals. Some of the tools available to monetary and fiscal policy authorities to tinker with the economy and stimulate economic activities in some sectors of the economy are tax waivers, tax breaks, tax exemptions, tax incentives. Hence, the government needs to attract investments and activities in a sector of the economy. It grants incentives in that sector. Recalls, Mr. Speaker, that historically, the federal government had issued policy documents in line with fiscal goals and strategy. For example, the annual issuance for the fiscal policy measures by the Ministry of Finance, the periodic issuance of the value-added tax modification order, etc. Some of these policies, Mr. Speaker, interventions had been effective in the past in achieving part of its objectives. Note that available data also shows that while the federal government has good intentions, these practices had continued to create a major black hole in the purse of the government of the Federation. These losses are occasioned and driven primarily by abuses by companies that have been granted tax-based waivers and incentives. Further note, Mr. Speaker, that based on available data, Nigeria continues to lose about 8 trillion naira annually to tax incentives and waivers. About 6 trillion is lost to companies that abuse the system, while 2 trillion worth of waivers achieves the objectives of the federal government. Most of the abuses arise from fiscal items like capital allowances, investment allowances, pioneer status incentives, free trade zone exemptions, value-added tax exemptions, etc. Observes that these gaps have negatively affected the tax to GDP ratio of Nigeria, which stands at 10.6%. Being one of the lowest in Africa, the gap created, Mr. Speaker, in the revenue profile of the government of the Federation has also contributed to the federal government seeking loans, grants, and aids to fund our budget deficit. Concerned thereof, that if urgent steps are not taken to investigate this situation, Mr. Speaker, Nigeria may not only be hanging on fiscal cliff, it may fall off the cliff and be heading to Venezuela, which is a situation where a country has huge resources, but is in deep economic crisis, recession, and depression. Results thereof, Mr. Speaker, that this House that we mandate the House Committee on Finance, House Committees on Finance, Industry, and Commerce to investigate the above allegations and report back to the House within a period of 4 weeks. I so move.
Those in support of this motion say aye.
That's the much we can take today on the maize. We'll meet again Friday next week at 8 p.m. Till then, watch previous editions on our YouTube channel, ASO Radio and Television. I am Rosemary Ukokotega.